This conversation begins with the title, The Distance Between Us. The distance between us. And the subtitle is Stretching, Reaching, and Flexing. That's right. Stretching, reaching, and flexing. Yeah, flexing. You can flex in many ways. We all realize that if we don't exercise this body properly every day, each and every day, this body will start getting tight and stiff. I mean, every bone in your body, every bone in your hand wants to be popped. It wants to be loose. Your knee bones, your ankle bones, your backbone, your neck bone, every muscle in your body wants to be stretched, to breathe again, to be able to relax. Watch this. To be able to have the range of motion that your body deserves. I mean, you know how it is when you get around your friends and they put on some music and you want to dance and you want to get to the latest moves and you can't do them because you haven't stretched, because you have no elasticity. All you can do with your stiff self is a robot. That's about it. You can just do the robot. That's far as you going, okay? So I want you to watch and think about your health. I want you to take care of yourself because as we get older, everything in you wants to shut down. Yes, it wants to shut down. It wants to quit. You can't let it. You have to keep yourself energized and motivated to keep moving forward. And so this message today, I want to talk about stretching, which is a form of physical exercise. Now, if you ever noticed, have you ever stretched before, like a yoga class or just sit and stretch for about 15 minutes? That's a full-blown workout. I mean, you start sweating, you start breathing hard just from stretching, from something that benefits you long-term. But that's because it's a workout. It's a physical push and it's a mental push at the same time because you have to be dedicated to it. Now reaching is a form of extending yourself. It's the strain. It's the strain after something. Can't quite get to that top shelf. It's straining after something. It's trying to get something that's outside of your reach. That's what reaching is. And it's like that wife you have, that beautiful wife you have. You know that girl's outside your reach, but you got her. You stepped outside your comfort zone and you went and got that girl. Yes, you did. I don't care what it took to wine and dine her, you did it. Now see, that's getting past your nerves. Yes. That's getting past the norm that you had set yourself into. Your friends can't believe it. Like, man, what are you doing with that pretty? It's like, hey, I stretched outside myself because I wanted something more than what I was really accustomed to having. And so you did it. And so you're there. So this is no different. This is no different. There's a slang for flexing. It's really, when you look at it, it's called showing off. You know, you got your muscles all together and you've been working out, your body all tight. You want to go out and flex it. You know how you women are. You want to put on those tight clothes because you want to show what you're still working with because you feel like you got it. And so, you know, you even try to get a little fast and try to twerk a little bit, but really and truly, you can't twerk no more. You're just jerking. That's right. Stop all that. We're not talking about that. We're talking about stretching, flexing, and flexing. And reaching, the distance between us. The distance between us. I have my son, and when he was 14, I was 41. And we were going through a couple of issues. You know, he's a teenager, he's smelling himself, you know. And hold up, I'm the parent, and I'm smelling myself too. It's like, hey, you're gonna listen to what I say. I had to call my sister, you know, this is her favorite nephew, she said, so I had to call my sister, Carolyn, and say, hey, let me tell you something. This young man is getting on my last nerve. What can I do? Give me some advice. And she told me, Donnie, he's not 41. And so I don't know what happened, but when she said that, it's like a light bulb went off in my head. He's not 41, he's just 14. And so I realized from that moment that I needed to really understand him at his age, because I used to be there. I used to be 14 at once. But because of my adulthood, because of I'm the parent, you know how we have that, my daddy told me this way, I'm gonna tell you this way. Well, I'm not saying your daddy was wrong, but sometimes our parents weren't always right. Sometimes the issue in front of you is not the same issue you had when you grew up. See, I grew up in a little small town, and it was more like a village raising families. Well, now it's independent. I mean, let's be for real. Most of us don't know how to stretch outside of our own walls of our house to know our neighbor. We're not stretching. We're not reaching over into the neighborhood, to the community. We're kind of isolated. Our children are kind of in prison, if you will, right there in the home. And so I wanted to reach down to my son. I didn't want my son to be in prison. I didn't want my son to be incarcerated in my own house, up under my own guidance as a father. And so my son he's 14. My oldest daughter is 16, and my younger daughter is 12. So what I'm doing for him, I'm doing for them. So I'm reaching down, and I'm reaching down. Yes, I'm coming off my ego trip, my pride, and I'm reaching down and listening to him at 14. I go back to 14 inside of my mind to understand what he's dealing with at the age of 14. The most powerful thing was, guess what? As I could reach down with all of my experience and my advice, by reaching down, getting off my high horse, he could reach up. His little hand could reach up now and grasp what I was saying. Because I had a common ground. Because I wanted to win. I wanted my son to win. I wanted my daughters to win. And so I had to get off my high horse. And so that's what you have to do. Yes. I came off of my, if you will, my manhood and went down to my malehood so I can talk to the youthhood inside of my sonhood. That's what I did. My brother, my youngest brother, Charles is 15 years younger than me. And I used to always try to give Charles advice, and I realized he probably listened, but was he really hearing it? Was he really using it? And I realized that he probably wasn't, because when I had that epiphany of my son being 14 and I'm 41, I realized that I'm 15 years older than my youngest brother, Charles. I had to address him differently. I wanted him to hear me, but I also realized that, you know what? I can't talk from way up here. Now, I can give him my experience and some structure, but I need to reach down into him also, 15 years younger. Come on. There's a disconnect there. If you don't know it, it is a disconnect. So I had to reach down and talk to him from where he was. And I tell you, today we have a beautiful relationship. Now it was stagnant, it was rocky, but guess what? But it prevailed over the years because I could see him for who he is. And I think he could understand who I am as well. We're raised in the same city, but he's raised 15 years later than I am. That city wasn't the same when I left. And so I'm thinking that, he's got all these support systems in place like I had. No, he didn't. Not that type of support. Not that type of fathering and that type of pushing and pulling and making sure we mentor. That wasn't there when he grew up. It became more territorial. And so I had to make sure that I dipped down. That I came out from my adultness to understand the youthfulness that I was dealing with. I pray that you do the same thing. I pray that you get outside of your mind. I pray you get outside of your mind. I pray that you stretch outside of your norm, and that you reach down. You reach down or you reach up. Depends on what has to happen. But there's some reaching that has to be done. If you're going to keep these bodies in shape, I mean, come on, your family, your brothers, your sisters, your children. Oh, come on, you got to keep that in shape too. You've got to flex that thing. You've got to protect that thing. Like your marriage. Are you flexing? Are you reaching in your marriage? Are you stretching in your marriage? I mean, come on, stretching requires a lot of bending. It requires a lot of pushing and twisting, a lot of toning each day, every day. And so your marriage is important. And so I pray that as you have two adults in the house, you have the wife and the husband, and you both are fighting for who gets to run the house in some sense. But guess what? You have the same common goal in mind, though. You want the best for the family. Well, it's going to take someone to stretch this way and someone to stretch that way. I would advise you to get on the same team, though, and stretch and pull together. That's where we are. Yeah, we get so much ground moved over when we pull together. But reaching outside of yourself, understanding that one of us, sometimes we just have to say, hey, I forgive you, or hey, I'm sorry, so we can move forward. That's stretching. Now that's growing as an individual. That's what I want you to do. Keep in mind, Brother Abraham was 100, basically 99, 100 years old before he had his first son. Do you know how much reaching and stretching he had to do to talk to Isaac? Oh my gosh. And then Isaac was 60 before he had his first child. You see the distance between us? The distance between us. The distance between relationship. It's not just an age thing. Sometimes it's a geography thing. I'm talking to my brother. I'm way in Dallas, Texas. He way in Hobbs, New Mexico. I'm talking from this perspective. He's sharing his thoughts from this perspective. But geography is in the way. The distance between us. That's the same distance you have between you and God, though. If you're not allowing God to be the adult, if you're not giving him the keys to drive your life, you're putting distance between you and God. Because if he's not driving, guess who is driving? Yeah. That other rascal is driving. I want God to have the keys to my life. I want him to have the steering wheel, I want him to have the gas pedal, the brakes. I want to give him full control. I pray that you do as well. I don't want distance between me and my Savior. No. I want to put it all in. I want him to get what he wants and to have what I need from him. Then I've got to be able to understand. I've got to stretch. I've got to reach. And I've got to flex to make all that happen. Yeah. 14 and 41, there's some distance there. 15 years older than my youngest brother, there's some distance there. But guess what? With the proper amount of stretching and reaching and flexing, I can pull it all in. You can too. Your marriage, you got issues in your marriage. Yes, you do. And so you need to make sure that, are you flexing or are you stretching in your marriage to make your marriage work? Are you reaching outside of yourself? Are you reaching outside of yourself for answers? Do you have a village that's around you who can support you? Do you have a girlfriend that you can talk to who's not your yes person? See, that's what we need. Because if you're not careful, you'll start reaching in the wrong places. And it's kind of like tug of war. What you want to do is you want to make sure that you're reaching in the right place for the right answers. Yes. It's going to take some electricity to keep these joints moving. It's going to take some electricity in your mind and your heart to keep your marriage moving. You're looking at your husband when he was 22, and you're expecting that same man at 42. I'm sorry. That doesn't happen. He's grown. He's experienced. He's knowledgeable. And so he's looking for something different at 42. Now, he's still 42, but he's looking for something different at 42 than he had at 22. Are you up here with him at 42? Or are you still back here saying, I'm not changing for nobody. I am who I am, and I'm not changing. Y'all trying to make me be different. No. We're trying to make you catch up. See, you didn't stretch yourself. Yeah, you weren't reaching for something better. You wanted to stay stagnant. Well, if you stay stagnant, you become isolated. I need you to go and catch up. I need you to get up here and enjoy this level of living. Yes, sometimes we have to stretch ourselves to enjoy living. Get out of being stagnant. Get out of being that you want to be different. Come on, we're all different, but don't be so different that you're isolated. That's not what we're talking about. That's not reaching. That's not stretching. That's stagnant. That's complacent. That's simply being stubborn and rebellion. That's all that is. The Bible calls that witchcraft. You don't want to be in witchcraft. No, you want to move forward, not backwards. That's what you want to do. You remember Apostle Paul? Apostle Paul had to stretch. I mean, let's be for real. He had a stretching moment. You remember he used to kill the saints. He used to kill every believer. And so he became a killer to a believer to a deliverer. I mean, that's powerful. I mean, Paul had a stretching moment. He went from bounty hunter to the witness protection program. That's what Apostle Paul went to. A lot of stretching. And so I want you to stretch even greater in your life, with your family, with your children, with your husband, with your friends. You know, Jesus fasted for 40 days and 40 nights. You don't think that was some stretching? That was some heavy lifting? Yes. See, so we all have to stretch. I mean, come on. It's a stretch for you to fast for 4 hours. Let's be for real. But Jesus fasted for 40 days and 40 nights because he was coming to set up something special for all of us, and that's eternity, to be with him. That's some heavy lifting. I pray that you stretch like Jesus stretched. I pray that you reach like Jesus reached. I pray that when you hear this message, I pray that it provokes you. It provokes you to understand that some things in your marriage, let's be for real, some things in your marriage, let's be for real. As a married couple, I mean, you're in the same household, flexing for the same power, but shooting for the same common goal. That's powerful. Yes. So be careful. Don't let the devil change that. Don't let him come in between that and put distance between the two of you. No. Come together and be a unit, a unified team. One who flexes, one who stretches, and one who reaches for the same goal. Now, that's a powerful team. That's a winning team. That's a winning recipe. I just pray that this word has been a blessing to you. I could talk about marriages all day long, but I want to just dip and dive just a little bit into where your children are. Don't ignore them. Quit trying to be the parent. You are the parent. Live the life. Listen to them. Listen to what they say. Stop cutting them off in the middle of their sentences. Hear what they have to say. If you stop shutting them down, you'll be surprised what you'll learn about your child. Some things that you can prevent from happening in the future. But every time they say something, you shut them down, guess what? You just limited them from reaching to you and trying to share with you what's happening. Because you're so busy being busy, you're not reaching down and giving an ear to hear what they're saying. Your child is important to you. I can't say it enough. The prodigal son's father ran to him when he seen him coming and embraced him. You know why? Because he's seen himself coming. That's right. That's your DNA. That's your seed. He's seen himself coming to himself, so he ran to himself to embrace himself. Did you get that? Yeah. The prodigal son's father, he's seen himself coming to himself, so he ran to himself to embrace himself. That's who we are. That's your child. Love your child. Embrace your child. They're not always going to get it right. They're children. You don't get it right, and you're an adult. Come on. Reach outside of yourself and embrace yourself in your children. Don't bully them. Yes, don't embarrass them. Don't provoke them. No. Teach them. Encourage them. Believe in them. Build them. I pray that you've been blessed by this word. This is always a blessing to me to come to you. I pray that you remember, don't forget, God is God. Read Romans 10:9. It's confess and believe, therefore you shall receive. Who wouldn't want a Savior like Jesus Christ? Don't forget, hit the button below, subscribe, and join me every week on YouTube. Also join me on Instagram at the.talklet. I pray that you leave from this message and you start making sure that you don't have distance between you and your loved ones. I pray that you start realizing that it's going to take some stretching. It's going to take a lot of reaching. It's going to take a lot of flexing to keep this thing together. But that's where we are. We have so much inside of us. If we would just simply loosen up a little bit and let our body, let the lubricants of our body flow through the electricity of our muscles and of our brain and of our heart, and we will receive the best that God has to offer. I pray that you will do that. I pray that you will receive this message. I pray that you would take this message and you will understand your children are the best imitation of you, the duplication of you. The original themselves, because God made them individual, independent of you. Yes, he made them through you, but they are independent of you when they start moving up and growing forward. But guess what? They have the best of you inside of them. Run to yourself and embrace yourself while you still have an opportunity, because the distance you put between them and you, it can sometimes take centuries, generations to bring back together. Stop messing around with what God has already given you. Start making sure that you put the best of you inside of it, and stop the distractions, stop the distance. In Jesus' name, be blessed.